So I spent the last 10 years recovering from several mental health issues, which includes depression, anxiety, depersonalization, derealization, maladaptive daydreaming, video game addiction, and probably more. And in this 10-year or 10+ year journey, one of the most unbelievable and craziest things I discovered was that so many people just don't understand what mental health actually is. And so this can be incredibly difficult when, if you have these layers upon layers of issues, or even just one or two of them, and you look for help, whether through people that you know or through what are meant to be professionals, and you discover they either don't really understand what mental health is, or they have a very limited understanding. And this is largely, I believe, because they have second-hand experience, not first-hand experience. And so in this video, I want to present a very easy way to understand mental health so you can show people this so that they can better understand and support you and others. I believe that one of the key reasons as to why there are still so many people suffering from mental health issues worldwide is because globally there is still not really a true understanding of what mental health issues really are. And because of this, it can be a real challenge if somebody does have mental health issues to know where to start, or to know even what language to use to describe what they're experiencing. And people who are around them don't even have an understanding of what a person is going through. So it's easy to dismiss or easy to think of it as being something completely different because they don't have that context in their mind of what the issue actually is. You could say there's no vocabulary or true understanding of what mental health issue is for many people. So the first thing we can understand is that as humans, we will have physical health issues at some point in our life, probably multiple times. And we can say that physical health issues occur because there's some kind of physical stress that occurs in the body or on the body, or something which disrupts the biological systems that we have inside us. I think that's a very simple and straightforward concept that we can all understand because we've all experienced it in some way when it comes to physical health. And so what we can say is the natural order and balance of the physical body gets disrupted by something. We can also experience physical health issues if our physical needs are not met consistently. So if we don't get enough sleep, for example, of course it's going to damage our body over time. If we don't get enough food, enough water, that also is going to lead to pretty obvious physical health issues. And again, that's something I think we can all understand and relate to. It's a very straightforward thing that we can all experience. Because of this, because it's a straightforward thing to understand, we know that to resolve the physical health issue, we need to simply give the body what it needs so that it can recover and heal, or to take away what is causing the physical stress or the physical damage. You may realize, and I'm sure many people do and have heard this before, that often physical damage, if it's strong enough, is called physical trauma. So just keep that in mind for later. And our mind and our emotions actually work in a very similar way, and they are also directly connected to the body. So we are not just our physical body, we are a being that exists of mind, body, and emotions. So these are all connected together and they all affect each other in some way. If you experience physical stress for too long, like if you're carrying a heavy weight for too long, or if there's some kind of damage that's on your body for too long, you're going to get more serious issues until you deal with the actual physical cause of this physical stress or trauma. Because this concept for the physical is essentially the same for the mental and emotional. If we experience a mentally or emotionally stressful event or traumatic event, it doesn't just disappear over time. It actually stays with us, whether in the back of our mind or still within our emotions subconsciously. So it sometimes can get suppressed. And if we keep experiencing this kind of stress over time, so chronic stress or repeated traumatic events, and I should point out, trauma doesn't just have to mean something severe, it can mean an emotionally painful event. So if we experience these over time throughout life, these don't just disappear, they accumulate in the same way that physical damage doesn't just disappear. The body has wear and tear as do the mind and emotions. So this accumulates over time more and more until we do something about it. We can say that if our mental and emotional needs are not met, this will create mental health issues for us. If these mental and emotional needs are not met, and if we don't release the trapped emotions, if we don't address the psychological issues, if we don't express what has been suppressed for so long, apart from it leading to mental health issues, if we don't find a way to address this, our mind will find ways subconsciously, without us knowing, to meet those needs. So if somebody has unresolved emotional issues and they keep building and building, this is when we get sometimes odd behaviors or socially unacceptable behaviors, because our mind is trying to find a way to meet those needs. So you could say, very simple example, somebody's experiencing painful emotions and they haven't been taught how to deal with it. They may turn to drink, they may turn to food, they may turn to self-harm. It can be a whole load of things, even just constantly using your phone, getting distracted by all kinds of things. This is what's known as a coping mechanism, because it is a mechanism that gets triggered automatically when you experience a certain psychological or emotional pain or difficulty as a way to cope with that stress and pain. And it's very easy to see how this can then lead to things like depression, anxiety, maladaptive daydreaming, depersonalization. If you're not familiar with these, I go into great detail in my other videos, so check them out if you want to learn more. If these continue for too long, it can lead to things like very low self-worth and even self-harm. So it's not something that you should just ignore and think, oh, it's just going to disappear on its own. If it wouldn't happen with physical health issues that are serious, why would it happen for mental and emotional health issues? Like if you have physical trauma, you'd go and get help, right? Or you'd look for somebody to support you. You wouldn't just go, oh, I'm just going to leave it and wait for my body to heal. Because if you see it's not healing, then the logical thing is to go and to find ways to resolve it. So you might be wondering, how do I know this? Well, I lived it for over a decade until I discovered there were ways to actually resolve these issues, and I successfully recovered. A key point to take is that everyone will experience some type of mental health issue during their lifetime, probably multiple times, probably to varying degrees. The difference is, not everybody will actually realize they have mental health issues because they don't actually understand what mental health issues are. So they can easily think it's something else or just think it's a normal part of life, not realizing you don't have to actually live that way and suffer like that. There are ways to resolve or to manage these issues to the point where it doesn't really affect you in such a bad way. To emphasize how much of a problem this is, I'm going to show you some statistics from the United States on the state of mental health. In 2020 in the US, 40% of US adults reported struggling with mental health or substance abuse. 1 in 6 US youths aged 6 to 17 experienced a mental health disorder each year. Half of all lifetime mental health illnesses begin by the age of 14 and 75% by age 24. Depression alone costs the nation about $210.5 billion annually. And suicide, unfortunately, is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 34 in the US, and is the 10th leading cause of death in the US. So you see, for a lot of people, I realize for certain cultures as well, they think mental health isn't really a thing, or they don't really fully understand what it is. And I think this is a key problem because it's such a widespread issue and has a real physical and even economic impact on the world. And I've only quoted statistics from the US, so I can't imagine how bad it must be if we take into account the whole world, and if we consider that the US is the richest country in the world and has the most resources available. Imagine countries that don't have the resource or development available, how difficult it must be for them. So because this is a global issue, you can actually be part of the solution by supporting somebody who has mental health issues, by just understanding that it's a thing and there are ways to resolve it. Because can you imagine if you were actually part of the solution, not the problem, just by understanding what mental health issues are and helping to support somebody to recover? So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.